Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode of AMR Sunday Review. Myself, this is Elias Hussain. I'm a PhD student at the University of Central Florida. In every Sunday, I'll be talking about latest papers in antimicrobial resistance and drug discovery. And I'll be trying to breaking it down in such a way so that it's gonna be very easier to read and effective to understand what's going on currently in science and technology. So today's paper come from Nature NPJ, Antimicrobial and Resistance. And this paper was written by a group of researchers from Imperial College of London, University of Pennsylvania, and MIT. So the research is all about mitigating antimicrobial resistance by innovative solution in AI or MARISA. Let's talk about more in this paper and let's understand what they have done. So before I'm talking about the research or in-depth discussions, I wanted to talk about the antimicrobial resistance or what exactly AMR actually means. Well, in simple words, AMR happens when bacteria, virus, fungi, or even parasites evolve in such a way so that the drug that we used to treat them earlier are started to losing its power. Now, this problem is not very simple because this researcher pointed out that more than 1 million people die in every year since 1990s from due to the drug resistance infections. And this number could be climbing up in the coming year. And it is also expected that by the year of 2030, the global, antibiotic use could be improving more. So that's why the researchers are turning to the artificial intelligence to speed up the drug discovery and improve the diagnostic process and also the make sense of the global vast amount of the data that we currently have. And I wanted to say that nowadays the AI is not a buzzword because it's becoming a very significant tool in healthcare, particularly because it can, solve a lot of complicated problem that is very difficult to process using any traditional software or any traditional tool. So far I have discussed why the AMR problem is very important and why this problem has been considered by this research. Uh, Let me talk about the objectives that was the main focus of this paper. So basically, the researcher wanted to map out exactly where AI can, make a big impact. So to do so, they have prioritized those four key objectives. So the first objective is about to understand where AI could be used in AMR research. Then the second one is about to gain expert opinion on a list of priorities. So for AI can tackling the AMR. And also the third one is about determine the barriers that they need to overcome to apply AI to problem of AMR. So this is all about barrier could be any data issues or any kind of policy gaps that they wanted to understand. And also the last one is like to develop the framework for AI to apply to reduce the problem of AMR. So here actually the framework that they have developed, it came later, but before that they had to obtain the three key objectives. So far, the problem is clear, then the objectives is clear. I would like to move into the method sections. That was the primary concern of this paper. So the before developing the BARDI system that this study has proposed, there were some methods that they had to achieve. So before developing the system, these researchers, they, invited more than 23 domain experts, those who has a, domain knowledge of the bioinformatics, then pharmaceuticals, then microbiology, and so on. And among that, only 8 out of them were agreed to take part of it. And each domain expert they took part in around 45 to 60 minutes of the interview, and during the interview they basically discussed that where AI can be utilized in particularly for the AMR research, and also what is the biggest gaps in this domain and what is working and what's not. So based on the suggestions and then all of the interviews, everything were recorded and transcribed line by line using a process called a thematic analysis. So here the thematic analysis is all about like, to identify any repeating ideas or any commonly discussing themes. And based on the all consideration and then themes, they finally mapped out some particular key points that later on eventually they used to develop the barida system. And then most commonly theme were included that the therapeutics, the number one. Then the data was another concern. Then also the AMR public health policy. Then also research prioritizations. They also figured out the economic resource allocation, and then point of care system, then modeling bacterial microbial evolution, then microbial knowledge and predictions, and also lastly the AMR surveillance. So these are the particular themes that they figured out during the interview process. And I have to say that this particular study, basically, they have taken a consideration. They prioritize a lot to the domain expert, because mapping the AMR to AI is very highly sensitive. So in this particular stuffs, I think that domain knowledge is very important, so that the expert opinion were prioritized in this study. Now, I wanted to move into the BARDI system, BARDI system, sorry, the BARDI framework. So this is a five-step framework. So the BARDI framework is about broker data sharing, AI-driven modeling, rapid diagnostic, drug discovery, and integrated economic prevention. So that was completely developed based on the thematic analysis and the expert interview that I just described. So, talking about the first module of the broker data sharing of the BARDI framework, when it comes to broker data sharing, it's all about how to share a data without losing its power or sensitive information or the privacy itself. Because nowadays when we are talking about the clinical data or any highly sensitive data, then the privacy is very significant concern. So expert emphasize that we need to develop a system where organization can trust the system and also share the data without losing its ownership or the privacy itself. The second module is about the AI driven modeling. Here, AI-driven modeling, as we know that once we have a data, any kind of data, we can come up with any solution that it can predict, classify, or any kind of stuffs. So they have emphasized that AI model should also not confidently give the accuracy, but it should also know where it should uncertain. For example, the uncertainty estimation is kind of another significant concern that came out by the expert. So that means we need to come up with a system that has also more, capability to understand when an output should be uncertain, so that it could be more highly trustworthy system. The next module is about the rapid diagnostics. When it comes to the terms like rapid diagnostics, we can understand that it is something like how to develop a system that has a faster and an accurate diagnostics capability. It is all about like as we know that yeah, we have a genomic data, so it can be analyzed very easily with the use of AI models. And this is very important for a low research settings, because maybe taking any genomic sequence to any lab can take a longer amount of the time. But if we have a AI system, so we can feed the genomic data so that it can faster analyze and then give us something meaningful. So that's going to be very effective way of treating those particular data. So that's all about the rapid diagnostics. The next one is about the drug discovery. As we know that the drug discovery and AI can play a very significant role. So here, expert emphasize that the computer systems nowadays, they have the a vast amount of the power to analyze those particular and very complicated data. Even though if it is a very genomic data and or other stuffs, and it is because uh, uh, for example, AI systems can now create any molecular compound, so it can be very effective to utilize before reaching it to the lab. So the drug discovery itself, now we can use the AI to come up with a better system or any kind of better treatment solution as well. For example, in case of the antimicrobial resistance, we can come up with something like any drug compound, so that can better fit to any particular resistance bacteria and something like this. So that's all about the drug discovery that they have discussed. Then the another module that we're talking about the integrated economic prevention. So this is the last module, but I wanted to say that even though if we have a AI system, but it may not work as it's supposed to, uh, because we need to invest it in the right places. So these integrated economic preventions emphasize that these particular things can help the government and also the policymakers to understand the places where they should invest, or to figure out exactly and which hospitals are in a vulnerable right now, so that the antibiotic promotion could be done effectively on these cases. So that's all about the integrated economic prevention. So this was all about the paper that I'm talking about, the MARISA. And then eventually they have developed a system called the BARDI framework. So the interesting thing is, like, initially I thought this is a very architectural and development, but later on I figured out that this is a very conceptual study. They have taken an interview from expert peoples, and then they figured out which particular approaches could be followed to in order to come up with something that can be utilized to mitigate this global threat or the antimicrobial resistance. So anyway, this is also very interesting, but at least if someone is working towards the antimicrobials and resistance. uh, uh, I particularly love the concept because they have already pointed out, because the data sharing, data concern is very, very significant concerns, and many people are trying to develop many system in terms of the federated learning or the secure data sharing platform as well. And I must say that in case of the bacterial research or any kind of drug discovery, we should also be more cautious, these kind of things, so that we can come up with something um, so that can be very effective for the data sharing as well. And also the AI driven modeling. I particularly love this system because love this concept, because uncertainty estimation is also very significant concern nowadays, because we should not also rely on the trust of the AI's output, but we should also make the system reliable and make the system more trustworthy, so that doctors and then clinician can more trust on that, and so that in that way we can make our AI systems more trustworthy. And this was all about the paper that I have discussed. So if you would enjoy this breakdown and also would like to stay updated, then do not forget to subscribe to catch the discussion, and I'll be back by every month, every Sunday. Till then, stay curious and keep learning. And remember that awareness is significant things and toward any innovation. Happy learning.